nights. I practice it every night to get on this herd mic. You know I'm alert, right? You know that it ain't nothing to serve, right? And I be killing tracks to the earth like my birthright. I'm solid like sound money and you fools sound.
Welcome to 3-Count Commentaries. You got to talk about that Damian Priest United States Championship match and the rocket that is slowly but surely being built with Damian Priest's name on it. He's going to get shot out of a cannon, apparently. So he got to start the show. I don't know when the last time a mid-card champion got to start an episode of Monday Night Raw and cut a promo, to welcome us to Raw. And he started talking about all the great United States champions. And, he wants to be like them. He's going to follow in that tradition. Open challenge. We get a bunch of people come out. And I'm going to skip all that because there really is no point in it. I did like that Lashley was basically threatened to become a double champion. I thought that was good. I thought Randy Orton and Riddle were going to do the same thing, but whatever. So then we end up with a triple threat match. McIntyre, Sheamus, Priest. Now, there was a lot of people who were upset at this because they were like, wait a minute. You, WWE, advertised Sheamus versus Lashley. That's what you advertised last week. You also advertised Miz versus John Morrison and Doudrop versus Eva Marie. And you're not going to really pay off any of those angles. None of the matches that were announced last week actually happened this week. Doudrop and Eva Marie did a no contest, which actually pissed me off not because I wanted to see the match, but because of how it was done. It's a good way to get out of this match. But what they should have did is that after Doudrop crushed Eva Marie's laid dead in the ring. And then, and you had to do like a stretcher job to get Eva Marie out of the ring. And then she could have done weeks of her in a neck brace and saying how, this is what Doudrop did to her after all the things that she did for Doudrop. Doudrop put her in a wheelchair or, Doudrop put a neck brace on her. And you could have been like a bedazzled neck brace. You could have made it so much fun. Instead, the referee was like, Eva Marie cannot continue. And Eva Marie is sitting up. And I'm just like, what the fuck? This is so Bush League. This is some shit you were seeing on the indies. Pay close attention to what you're doing. You're supposed to be unable to continue. So I wouldn't even been moving. Whatever. I just had to get that off my chest. This has nothing to do with this. I'm not even going to talk about it outside of that. So it's not going to be like a separate video on it. In any event, we get the match. Now, Drew McIntyre is still under the stipulation that he cannot challenge for the WWE title. So now he's kind of gravitating towards Damian Priest. Him and Damian Priest went out to have a pint last week after they, got together and beat up Sheamus and Lashley. This week, they're going to fight Sheamus in a triple threat match, and this match rocked. This match ruled. I hate triple threat matches, by the way. But it was fresh. I figured we'd never see it again. And I was in the mood to watch, big, meaty men slap meat. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's do it. And these guys did not. They did not disappoint. I have a couple of favorite spots. I like the countered 3-2-1 countdown. McIntyre does the big countdown. It looks like he's about to win the title. He get hit with a brogue kick. I thought that was awesome. I thought that would have been a good way to get the title back on Sheamus. Of course, it would have been too soon for a Priest to lose, but I thought it was a great spot. I didn't like that, Sheamus got his finisher kicked out of. That was the shits. The white noise from the second rope, pretty solid too. And the finish, I really like the finish. McIntyre goes for a gut wrench. Priest reverses it into the reckoning, and pins him clean. Ooh, boy. Clean as a surgeon's office. And I was like, wow. Not just that he beat Drew McIntyre, but that he beat Drew McIntyre clean. This is a big deal because as far as we were concerned going into this show, Drew McIntyre was still the top babyface. Now it seems like Damian Priest is the top babyface. And that he has taken Drew McIntyre's spot. And I was like, yo, hey, I'm all for it. They have done a really good job with Damian Priest. That hasn't been the best, of course, because like I said, he was anchored to The Miz and John Morrison for several weeks. That was not cool. But since they brought him up, they've done a good job of not beating him, keeping him featured, and doing featured things with him. Some of it has been silly, like the zombies and the constant Miz and Morrison segments. But he's always won. He's very rarely looked silly. He's been given time to talk and tell people who he is and where he comes from and what's going on with him, what his character is. He's been given an opportunity to connect with the audience, and it's actually starting to work. That's all you really need to do, is to give a guy, let him be, not don't put a thick character on him. Like sometimes you got to have a character, but sometimes some guys need a thicker character than others. Priest doesn't need that. He doesn't necessarily need a thicker character. He can tune it down, or they've stripped away from him. Like when other people in NXT, sometimes they add things, they take away other things. In Damian Priest, they seem to have taken away his sort of Razor Ramon facade. They kind of took that off of him, and then what they left him with was who he is. A Puerto Rican guy from New York who was living his dream, being a pro wrestler. And like they say, if you got an ethnic babyface, he can't be one of the guys. He has to be the guy. I forget where I heard that, but that's the clue. If you got an ethnic babyface, he cannot be one of the guys. He has to be the guy. And if they decide that Damian Priest is the ethnic babyface, he is the Hispanic hero now. He's going to go out there and speak Spanglish in front of the American public and all this kind of stuff. He's got to be the guy, So I'm okay with it because I was a big fan of Damian Priest. I think that he, hits all the right notes as far as, getting over and people really enjoying what he does. And you don't have a lot of time, And I hate to put it like this, but his age is an issue. He's 38. How much time do you think you're going to have with this guy here? You probably get a good 4 or 5 year run out of him. You're probably looking at another Batista, because Batista's run didn't last very long, and it didn't need to, because Batista started at 30, I believe. So, like, he didn't get into the business till he was 30. So, and he was out of it, 2012 is when he retired? And he came back in 2014. And, and then he came back again for that one last match. But, so you have that situation. You got a guy who's a little bit older. He needs to make an impact fast. And as a babyface, he can do it because it's apparently an open spot. Drew McIntyre can't challenge for the title. Priest can. Now, of course, he got that albatross called the U.S. title on him. Got to get rid of that. But, that could be arranged in another fatal 4-way or a ladder match or something like that. And they already got him interacting with Lashley. They already got him threatening with Lashley. It's entirely possible that we can go ahead and do it. And I think it's more likely to happen. Of course, Big E. I think Big E is probably more likely to happen. But if it's not going to be Big E, I am 100% okay with it being Damian Priest. I am 100% okay with it being Damian Priest. And I'm glad that Vince sees something in him. Like I said, the only thing I got against Damian Priest is the thigh slapping and the blue hair. I don't like the blue hair. But thigh slapping is what he was doing in NXT. He was still having kick-ass matches. He had more of a persona in NXT as far as being like the dark party guy, almost a little bit like Edge. Like when Edge first showed up, he was just, a loner who, was kind of cool. He kind of hung out on his own, walked to the beat of his own drum, that kind of thing. And then they added the character of, Damian Priest hanging out with the chicks and everything in the hot tub. And, that adds to his, nightlife persona. The guy was a bouncer, so it plays off of his real life. that works. You know, I think WWE should definitely do a little bit more of that with him on the main roster, but I don't know how you fold that in. They keep going back to the old, this is my dream. You know, I'm living the dream. You know, I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. God, it's okay for some people, but I hate it so much. I really do. I hate it. But Damian Priest I'm thinking that this guy is probably going to start, like he's already interacting with Lashley. So I'm thinking, you know, if it's not Big E, I can see Priest being the guy who takes the title from Lashley. Now, when that would be, I think it's sooner than people think. To be quite honest, I think WWE sees the money in Damian Priest and they're like, okay, if he hits the demographic as hard as they want him to, I would not be surprised that if around Survivor Series, they start putting him in title matches. If he really resonates with like the Hispanic audience and, you know, and all that kind of stuff, I see them basically being like, all right, let's go with him. You know, not putting the title on him. I don't think he'll be like champion at TLC or anything like that. I'd be surprised if that's the case. But I would not be surprised at all if we started seeing Damian Priest flirt with the main event, getting one-on-one title matches and being the actual main eventer of Monday Night Raw and opening the show more often, you know, and them leaning on him to do that. I can see them just based off tonight that that's what they want to do with him. And guess what? I'm 100% cool with it. Damian Priest is cool. You know, he fits the bill. You know, he can do whatever they need him to do. Only problem is he's a little too old. That's it. You don't have a lot of time. You got to ride that horse as long as you can, man. There's a lot of people who can't handle the pressure of being WWE champion. At Damian Priest's age, a lot of guys start to wind down, and he's barely getting started. So you're looking at this guy who's probably going to be, you know, like AJ Styles, where they say like he gets it. He, you know, and we got to push him. And I think that's pretty much the situation that he's in right now, where he's going to be like maybe the Puerto Rican AJ Styles, especially since AJ Styles is not going to be around much longer. You know, a lot of these guys aren't going to be around much longer, which brings me to Keith Lee, who wasn't on the show. Could Keith Lee be the guy to take the U.S. title from him? You know, maybe. I think he was supposed to be the champion anyway in February until he had his medical thing. So there's a lot of options out there to get Damian Priest, the title off of Damian Priest in a way that would make sense and to get him in the main event because he's already got that angle brewing with him and Lashley. They already testing the water. I am here for it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Thank you guys for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Skin tone, so why attach yourself and piggyback the wealth you didn't earn or lack yourself? I'm telling you to own up to your own success and failures. It's a reason why these sleazy guys